Today, Jake will be doing a book review of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Take it away.
Thank you, Aggie, for that wonderful introduction. Okay, The Power of Now. This is a book that I read over the weekend, and wow, it's an interesting read. Not easy to get through in terms of really understanding and comprehending it. I felt like I was in a rainstorm trying to collect water, and I had a little Dixie cup running around trying to get as much water as I could in that Dixie cup. So I will try to distill down the takeaways that I had from this book, and hopefully it resonates with people and is helpful. And I would highly recommend if it does to buy a copy of the book because it is a this might be a book that you want to get on audio as well, just because there's so much great content here where you can close your eyes and listen to the author and get some good perspective on meditations and things like that. So anyway, very interesting book and highly recommend it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this book review. Um, I try to simplify this into kind of a couple categories here. The whole point of his book is that enlightenment and achieving of enlightenment equals the end of suffering. And I think that the work that I do, that's really my goal is to try to reduce, people's suffering by offering them tools and books and things like that to reduce the suffering in their life. I don't think I can be so ambitious as to expect an end of suffering completely, but maybe some marked reduction in suffering would be helpful for people. So, the issue with why we can't get to enlightenment is because we have this thing called the mind, the thinking mind, the human mind. And in the author's view, it's really the thinking mind has really become a parasite. And I'll jump into that in a second. And really a disease of the mind. And I'll go into that a little more detail. The answer to all this is just being present. And we'll talk more about how to accomplish that and why that's so important. With regard to the mind, he thinks that the incessant thinking that we have, the attachment to our identity around our mind regarding sort of um, the past, all the things that happened to us in the past that relate to our identity, all of the things that those keep us in states of pain and suffering when we're identifying with our thoughts, our emotions, or reactions. We're unconscious. We're thinking about all range of emotions, right? Jealousy, anger, hatred, anxiety, stress, you name it, we've got it. And so our mind is just constantly racing and dealing with things that are not related to the present. They're related to, prior memories, regrets, or a future that we think will either be positive or negative, but we're rarely thinking about the present. And so this creates a lot of suffering, keeps us unconscious. And so one of the things he recommends is basically that he says we are not the thinker. So that thinker that you have in your mind, that individual that keeps telling you, you need to go work out, you're looking, overweight, or you got to do this, or you got to do that, or the anxiety one, that's just a level of consciousness. You need to become the watcher of the thinker and get above that and look down. So when you're having these reactions, these emotions, don't judge, just witness it and watch what's happening. And that'll really give you a whole level of consciousness when you realize that you are not your thoughts, you're not your emotions. And this will keep your ego in check and take you away from sort of identifying with all these feelings and reactions and realize that you are higher than that, you are above that. And just watch, don't judge, listen, and eventually you'll just view it as sort of a funny little child that's telling you to do certain things, and you'll kind of laugh it off. Um, the way you deal with the mind that's going crazy and the way you get to enlightenment and reduce suffering is just be present, and you make presence your focus. It dissolves all pain and suffering. Yield to the reality of life. Don't resist it. It doesn't mean that you don't take action, but you take action from a place of what he calls surrendered action. So you're okay with the way things are in terms of the life. You accept it, and then you go into action in terms of changing what you want to change or your circumstance. Um, if you think about you're always trying to be somewhere where you're not, you're never present. You're always thinking about the next place you've got to go, the next errand you have to run, the next thing you have to do. You're never present. So when you're living life, life is only about being present. That's the only thing that we actually that is true and that's real is the presence. And so make it your priority to be present and to pay attention to things. One of the things I've done recently is buy really nice coffee mugs that I enjoy drinking coffee out of. I like feeling the texture on my hands, how it feels when I drink it. When I'm driving my car in traffic, I try to feel the steering wheel and think about what it feels like as I'm driving through the traffic, the vibrations of the car. get present. It gets your mind away from thinking about all that crap that goes on and really helps you sort of, sort of get closer to enlightenment. Pay attention to everything around you, and everything will sort of open up, and you'll see a lot of stuff out there. That's it for this one. I think it's a really interesting book, and I hope you guys will check it out. And it'll probably take several reads before you actually get uh, the real meaning of it all. So, thanks, and on to the next one.